Good day, you sexy internet travelers! Bailey here, and today we are back with episode 11 of Kuzu no Honkai. But before we dive in, I have just a quick little announcement to make. For the next 10 weeks, I will be at a military school. It shouldn't be a problem for me to put out content, but if I am posting a minimal amount of content, you now know why. So this week's episode of Kuzu no Honkai managed an onslaught of happy feels, but also a lot of deep concepts that I want to explore. The episode starts off with Minagawa reflecting on her past relationships, and she asserts that the major flaw that they all had was her distinct lack of emotional fulfillment from them. And so now we are finally given a clearer view of the foundation of her manipulative and seductive persona she adopted as a teacher. Emotional gratification, I think, is far more central to satisfaction than sexual and intellectual gratification. And this is reflected in her actions and living as a persona that sexually exploits people, and also as the persona of a teacher. She was able to compensate both intellectually and sexually for the emotional void in her life. Or at least, that is until Kanai comes into the picture. After what I would say is a completely pointless scene with Hanabi and her friends, we go to the date with Kanai and Minagawa, and Minagawa has officially dropped her facade, saying it doesn't matter at this point, and perhaps that's because she feels as though Kanai has accepted her. But after their ice cream outing, she goes and tries to seduce him again, and it works out about as well as getting Kim Jong-un to eat a salad. But she is not deterred by this failure and conjures the plan to intoxicate him. So she's still trying to seduce him, but it's not the same nature as her previous relationships. And trying to get Kanai to sleep with her, it feels much more as though she is trying to find a way to situate Kanai in a context that she's more familiar with and gauge the relationship. Now, the major flaw in her plan is that she also gets drunk and slips a few interesting comments that may have otherwise gone unslipped. Unslipped, it's a word. Google it. I'm totally not full of shit. She says she doesn't like her slutty nature and she wants Kanai to hate it. So let's step back and look at this for a moment. I think we can assume that Kanai is probably the first person that has gained Minagawa's respect. Minagawa has dropped her facade and lowered her guard around Kanai. Now it seems she's portraying a sense of guilt because Kanai has fully accepted her and her litany of faults. And this occurred with essentially zero repercussions for Minagawa. She is wanting an even trade, wherein since she lived in a way that she doesn't like and that's not exactly convenient for Kanai, the appropriate act of reciprocation would be Kanai being angry or disappointed, but this doesn't happen, and thus we reach the theme of unconditional love, wherein she sees that Kanai is accepting her regardless of her faults. And this is a concept that doesn't resonate with her because she's never had an emotional connection to someone before, so she has no reason to be familiar with it. Now, whether or not her labeling it as unconditional love is an accurate term or not is something I think is up for debate, because accepting one's shortcomings and faults is not necessarily unconditional love, but rather realistic love. Oh, and on side note, here's a scene that sort of resembles Kanai being attracted to Minagawa because she resembles a maternal figure to him. So the next morning they agree to get married, and Minagawa says she's gonna cheat on him all the time. So I guess I will give her props for honesty, but I don't think that will be a problem because, again, I think the sexual exploitation of people up to this point was to fill an emotional void that Kanai is now filling. And that's not the only void he's filling. Oh my god, that was a terrible joke. Now the episode ends really emphasizing the question of whether or not people change. Mugi sees the pursuit of trying to change someone as a more selfish endeavor, thinking that the average person probably more so wants the gratification of themselves having changed someone than the actual changing of that person. And I too am inclined to agree with this sentiment, as I believe genuine altruism is a tremendously rare thing. Now, it's a little vague how Mugi sees himself in this regard, but I think we can say that the reason he sees other people's pursuit to change people as a selfish endeavor is because he is that which he sees in others. In the end, he declares his feelings for Minagawa one last time, and in this declaration, we really see that Mugi was much more changed by Minagawa than Minagawa was by Mugi. The theme of this episode was, do people change? I am much more inclined to believe that people don't change, but rather that the circumstances around them change. But what do you believe? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, Stay sexy, internet travelers.